All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be touching on the top prop bets for this Sunday night showdown between the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. Let's go ahead and get into it. And so we start with taking a peek at the game line here. So it is going to be a 46 for the game total, and then it's also going to be a 2.5 point spread in favor of the Baltimore Ravens winning this game, which if you've kind of watched these two teams, you've watched the Ravens kind of do what the Ravens do in some games so far this season, which is keep games close that maybe shouldn't be, whereas the Bills have kind of done vice versa. The Bills have really put on a dominant performance thus far, minus the start of a game against Arizona, in which Arizona is probably just a little bit better than a lot of people had thought. So certainly an interesting game in that regard. We look at the injury report for both teams. Bills, good to go. Like, we don't have to worry about injuries from them, which is nice. Ravens, obviously, Keaton Mitchell's still on the IR, so nothing really too crazy there as well. Now, I do want to call it the snaps last week there for the Baltimore Ravens. That was a game that they won. Derrick Henry finally got more snaps than Justice Hill. So really, this game, in terms of prop betting, could come down to how this game is scripted, really. It could be a situation where maybe you think the Buffalo Bills are going to be winning, thus you would want to chase more Justice Hill overs, or vice versa, where you think the Ravens are going to be winning this game, thus you would want to chase more Derrick Henry overs, and you could stack those two together. Like, those two plays really shouldn't correlate together. So like Justice Hill under receptions or receiving yards potentially paired with Derrick Henry over rush yards. Like, that'd be something I don't mind doing. Now, one interesting thing when looking at the snaps from last week is that we saw Isaiah Likely get 62% of the snaps. He might actually be the tight end number one there, but it is a really concentrated offense. We are going to see a lot of Zay Flowers, it seems, and then maybe Mark Andrews gets involved, maybe Isaiah Likely gets involved, but we'll see what kind of prop bets we have here for the Ravens. And then just taking a peek at the Buffalo Bills, I want to take a peek at the receivers. Matt Collins still playing a lot. MVS still playing a lot. Khalil Shakir, 55% of the snaps. So strange. He had a big game. I would have guessed he would have played like closer to 80. That did not happen. Keon Coleman was limited in his snaps because apparently he did kind of something that the coach didn't like pretty much, and so they limited his playing time. So it kind of sucks here, guys. Like, we don't have like clarity in terms of playing time here for really either team. Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid splitting the work. Now, obviously last week was a bit of a blowout there, so like not the biggest conclusion in terms of snaps. I think we could look at like Khalil Shakir and expect 55 to 60%. Or 70%, I should say. James Cook, though, like, he kind of got what we would expect. Ty Johnson got a little bit more work than I would have thought. Ray Davis maybe would have got more work if it wasn't a blowout. But really, in terms of snaps, these two teams do spread out their snaps and somewhat of the production. So that is a concern. And so we'll start out here with the Buffalo Bills. And what we're going to notice is that we really are not going to get that many good prop bets in general. The best one that we have on Underdog would be looking at Dalton Kincaid for over 7.45 for his fantasy score. Now, the average sportsbook line does like the over pretty heavily at about 7.7 is kind of the average sportsbook line that's out there. PrizePicks would have this at 8.25. So we are seeing that we kind of have a clear edge there. From there, though, the board becomes extremely tight in terms of which prop bets we'd want to be targeting. So really, there's not that much to it. I don't mind Khalil Shakir for like to have another good game. You look at Khalil Shakir, his receptions, it's set at 4. I do expect him to get 4, but that's kind of the issue with a lot of the lines that we're having is that they're all just pretty much correct. And so we'll take a peek at the PrizePicks lines that we are getting. We got Josh Allen for over his INT at about a 53% likelihood hit. That's the best bet that we have on PrizePicks as well. So a little bit unfortunate, kind of the board that we have. And if you look at like prop line differences, not too much there. Like, sure, James Cook receiving yards is off by 2 on PrizePicks. That's about it. Like, I just don't feel like we're really going to need to force it in there for this game. Kind of unfortunate. We'll jump on into Baltimore, and we are going to see maybe a slight edge here with a couple of the Baltimore Ravens players. Now, I get why you wouldn't want to choose Mark Andrews for over his fantasy score, but I would say like choosing one of these two does make sense. We see Isaiah Likely's line at 6.5 for his fantasy score. Does seem to be maybe high compared to his receptions line at 2.5. Like, I don't know, I'd almost rather go with the 2.5 receptions if we're going to bet his over fantasy score. Mark Andrews definitely kind of the edge here. Don't love it, but certainly one that we can attack and use. And we also look at Zay Flowers for over his fantasy score. That's going to be one that we can use on PrizePicks as well. So we're probably going to use these two and then pair up with another prop bet and see any other bets that are kind of standing out. I mentioned like Justice Hill and Derrick Henry, we'd want to maybe stack them together. So I don't know, maybe Derrick Henry for under his fantasy score, and then you could do like Justice Hill for over receiving yards. Like, I don't hate that. Or vice versa if you guys want to do that. We'll take a peek at Underdog. So Underdog is also liking Mark Andrews for over his fantasy score. Again, better bet on PrizePicks. We'd be better off using that there. And then from there, not much. It's an extremely tight board. It kind of is what it is. It kind of sucks that that's the case. Now we are getting like Kyle Hamilton for under 2 assists. Like, as a bet, that's going to be a push. I think we could use that one, I guess, like for an Underdog bet. And honestly, this is going to be the Underdog bet. I'm not even going to show you guys the screenshot. So I'm going to just be writing out Mark Andrews over fantasy score. Don't love that. Dalton Kincaid over fantasy score. Feel pretty good about that one. And then Kyle Hamilton for under 2 assists. 3 slip bet there for Underdog. That's all right. We'll take that. And then, yeah, guys, looking at PrizePicks, kind of a simple approach as well in terms of which bets we could go in on. Zay Flowers over fantasy score. If you guys want to toss in Tyler Huntley under fantasy score, you can. Mark Andrews potentially for over his fantasy score. Again, that is a better bet here, so that's where we'd want to run out. Maybe Josh Allen for over an INT, but I think I would just be fine running this back with like hoping that Khalil Shakir does have another good game. I wouldn't hate Keon Coleman for over his receiving yards, but we'll do Khalil Shakir paired with these two for over 4 receiving yards. Now, I do want to touch on just some general bets that we have going for this game that we are getting maybe slight edges on. Zay Flowers for over 4.5 receptions. A slight edge. Well, it's about the same, but the payout minus 140 on FanDuel is okay. The average line would have it about minus 160. Taking out the juice, it's basically the same percent to hit, but you're not losing anything there. That's not terrible. These ones for tomorrow, it's just Jahmyr Gibbs for tomorrow, under 11.5 rush attempts, slight edge there. And then, yeah, kind of, I don't mind this for Keon Coleman to get over his receiving yards. Again, we're just kind of betting on him not messing up this week during practice to be able to play in this game. And if he does, I do think he has a good chance of getting this over receiving yards line. The average line would be set about 27, maybe favoring a little bit more of the under, but on FanDuel where it's minus 110 for him to get over 26.5 receiving yards, I'm kind of okay with that one. That's fine. I do want to see if we're getting any sort of Khalil Shakir props, and then that's going to be it. Quick video here for the slate. Not much there. Kind of sucks that that's the case, but it is what it is. Looking at it, guys, not much here. With DraftKings and FanDuel for their average lines that we're getting for receptions for Khalil Shakir, because some lines would have it set more as an under, but at 4.25 for his average line. So don't love that. Again, he's probably going to get 4 receptions. That's what the data is telling us. That's why I don't mind that bet on PrizePicks. That's going to be all for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the coverage, make sure to give a like and subscribe. I do appreciate that. If you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to it for just $10 a month.